Welcome back to Champion News Talk Radio, brought to you by championnews.net. Today, Jack Roeser and myself are speaking with Congressman Joe Walsh from the 8th Congressional District, and we were speaking to the last election cycle. And Congressman Walsh, what are your thoughts on the last election cycle?
Well, Jack touched upon some important lessons, and again, Bill Brady should be our governor. Wonderful man. Boy, I wish, especially with this redistricting, I wish he were our governor.
He was adequate. There's no reason for him to lose.
Certainly better than what we have. Here's the lesson I drew. Pat Quinn starts firing at Bill Brady in the summertime with millions, going after him on abortion and guns. Melissa Bean did the same thing to me with 2 weeks left in that election. Mm-hmm. She spent $2 million saying Joe Walsh is a pro-life nut and a pro-gun nut. I had pennies to work with, but we fought back right away. Mm-hmm. And we pointed a finger at her and said, how dare you talk about my position on abortion when our country's house is burning down? Mm-hmm. That's what Bill needed to do. He needed to shame Pat Quinn in the summertime.
You're saying get to the real issue.
Are you serious, Pat? This state is the laughing stock of the union, and you want to talk about abortion and guns? You ought to be ashamed of yourself. Yeah. If Bill Brady had done that, he'd be governor.
Yes, he would. Definitely.
So, look, this movement wants us to fight.
Right.
It wants us to save this country for our kids and our grandkids. And Jack, we learned the same lesson with that special election a month ago in New York. The Republican district. The Democrats hammer the Republican candidate on Paul Ryan's Medicare plan. Oh, they're going to take away your Medicare. Yeah. And what did my party do? We stayed quiet and we didn't fight back.
Yeah.
If we don't have the you-know-what to say, if we don't save Medicare, it's gone, then shame on us.
You know, and that is exactly what we need. We need people to go forth boldly, speak the truth. Our spending, quantitative easing, is ending. And I am just curious what that's going to do to the interest rates, because QE2 is ending. And what is going on with our debt ceiling?
This will be the fight this summer. And again, like the budget fight of a couple months ago, Jack and I have talked. I hope my leadership, our leadership, stays really bold on this. Mm-hmm. Timothy Geithner came to speak to our freshmen, all of the freshmen last week. And it was terribly disappointing because he doesn't understand how serious the debt crisis is. All he talks about is this debt ceiling, and you get to midnight and the lights are going to go off. Hooey. He knows that's not true.
No, it's happened before without any drastic results. The drastic results is the damn fool spending they continually want to do.
Right, and the markets want to see us do something about the spending. And I can tell you, I mean, look, we voted for the debt ceiling raise 2 weeks ago in the House, and it didn't come close to passing. Unless we structurally reform how that city spends money, I don't think you're going to see a raise in the debt ceiling. These Republicans, most of us, feel really strongly about this.
Well, Joe, I talked to Boehner.
Speaker Boehner to you, that is.
Speaker Boehner, pardon me. There's the guy that sits on the throttle for the money in the House.
Yeah.
It's the job that Hastert failed to do. He didn't protect his president by stopping all that fool spending that even the Republicans got into. But Boehner's got that job. I had an opportunity to talk to him, as you know, for about an hour. I talked to him about how we lost the thing here by not standing tough in Illinois. And he listened that through, and he wasn't talking tough, but he listened.
So exactly, Jack, what was that conversation with Speaker Boehner? What did that entail?
Yeah, what I had in mind was something here in Illinois has some meaning for you, Ms. Boehner. What happened is they expected to elect Governor Bill Brady, but he didn't hang tough. He never gave people a reason to vote for him. And so the Republican lost the election for governor here just because they never gave him a good reason to vote for him.
The message he heard from you, I can tell you he's hearing every day. Monday of this past week, 103 House Republicans delivered a letter to the Speaker and respectfully said, Mr. Speaker, my God, we've got to take advantage of this debt ceiling opportunity. We need major spending cuts, we need spending caps, and we need a balanced budget amendment.
Finally, a real caucus.
Finally, a real caucus.
Caucus with some guts.
103,
Wonderful.
That's a large number.
Oh, terrific.
And it's not just the cuts. The federal government should have to do every year what every household has to do. What most states have to do is balance their books. Forget about Illinois. And to put that in the Constitution. It's a balanced budget amendment that I introduced a month ago. And I think, Jack, because of the message he heard from you and a number of others, I really do expect my leadership to be a lot bolder in this fight.
I think so. They have to do that. If I can change the tone of this a little bit, the thing you're fighting for a lot there is to kill off Obama's so-called Obamacare. That should be Obama doesn't care. Because what's he going to do? He's going to put a bureaucrat in charge of your medical care. You don't need any beauty care. You got that down pat, but you might need medical care. And there is a perfect example out there, a huge one, of why we shouldn't do that. And what it is, it's our education system. We've got a nationwide system of so-called education that is by a bunch of bureaucrats who have taken control of it themselves. They've taken the dues that are paid to ordinary teachers. The good people in the system are those teachers that have some knowledge and decency that are really trying to teach our kids. But that isn't what the bureaucrats are about. And what they do is they take the union dues that the teachers pay, which varies from $550 to $1,050 here in the state of Illinois. And according to the Beck decision rendered at the Supreme Court level, 80% of what the teachers get is really just spent on politics. There's only 20% that's spent on representing the teacher at their place of employment. So in an ordinary district with, say, 10,000 kids, there's close to $500,000 of teachers' dues being spent on politics. So the president of ASME, the union that the government employees belong to, these guys are so arrogant, they occasionally tell the truth. And what he said was that by using those dues, they are able to politically pick the people that administer the school system. What's he saying? He's saying that the union has got so much money, they can elect the people that determine how our education is delivered to our kids. What have they done? They've cut out the parents as the ones that should be educated. The Supreme Court says the parents are responsible. So they've cut them out of it. They cut the taxpayers out of it. And the stinking teachers union, I call the IEA here the enemy of the republic because the evil they do is so endemic. They're the big 100-pound gorilla downstate. And I'll stop a harangue here, Joe, but it should be enough evidence to everybody in this country. You don't want any service of a large sort delivered by the federal government, except the Army and the Marines, the Navy. You don't want them educating your children, and you sure as hell don't want them being your doctor. I don't want some stinking government bureaucrat between me and my doctor.
Right, well...
Jack, this is an issue you and I have felt long and strong about. Until we in this country get to a point where we have universal school choice and we empower parents to decide where their kids go to school, public, private, religious, or home, then our kids who are stuck, as you know, in urban areas, in just prison schools, will never be free. This should be a great issue for Republicans. This should be a great civil rights issue.
Aren't you afraid of the teacher vote throwing you out of office?
No, because you know what I think? I think a lot of the rank and file teachers agree. It's the unions. It's the teachers' unions right now who no longer, and it's been this way for a while, the best interest of the child is not at all their MO anymore.
The children are necessary for these people to have these
Absolutely.
jobs.
And the only way to overcome that is through competition. And the only way to force schools to get better is to give parents that choice. Yeah. Absolutely.
Well, I think school choice is very important. I think that's something we might want to continue discussing after the break. I just want to say something, though. A too large government doesn't just lead to high taxes and too much debt. It also is going to impede our economic growth. And if we don't start realizing this economy is failing under this administration, Congressman Walsh, and that needs to be the message moving forward. We really need to do better. But after the break, we're going to be discussing, let's discuss school choice and the economy.